You scroll through listings tonight and spot a clean 3-bed/2-bath house in a safe neighborhood. Good schools just 20 minutes from work. Price $450,000 to $500,000. It feels almost reasonable. Rent for something similar is $2,400 per month, and the mortgage estimate is only $400 to $600 higher. Your brain jumps to the shortcut: buy it, build equity, stop throwing money away on rent. That exact shortcut is the biggest illusion in 2026, and the pain point millions are walking straight into right now. Rates are still stuck around 6.11%. Freddie Mac, February 5th, 2026. National median home value sits at roughly $359,000. Zillow, January 2026. But in decent suburbs, $450,000 to $500,000 is completely normal. Comparable 3-bed rent averages just $2,119 per month. So why does owning feel so much more expensive? Because the monthly payment number you see is only the tip of the iceberg. Add property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, if any, extra utilities for a bigger space, and maintenance/repairs. 1% rule equals $4,500 to $5,000 per year on average, but one roof or HVAC replacement can easily hit $10,000 to $20,000, and total all-in ownership costs jump to $3,800 to $4,500 plus per month. That's a $1,000 to $1,700 monthly gap compared to renting. Now here's the real killer: that gap, if invested in an index fund at a historical 7% return, compounds to $85,000 to $90,000 in 5 years and $200,000 plus in 10 years. That's the true opportunity cost, the silent wealth destroyer that turns almost reasonable into house-poor lifestyle, creep and regret after just 3 to 5 years. Today we're doing the full 2026 reality check, full stack math comparing owning versus renting when buying. Still wins long hold house hacking, strong local markets, and when renting plus investing. Protects your cash flow and flexibility better. No bias, just cold numbers so you avoid regret. If you're thinking about buying in the next 12 to 24 months, watch to the end. Drop your rough numbers in the comments below: target home price, comparable rent, location, city/state, income range. Let's dive in. Let's start with the elephant in the room: mortgage rates. As of February 5th, 2026, the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averages 6.11%, according to Freddie Mac's latest primary mortgage market survey, basically flat from last week's 6.10% and still near the lowest points we've seen after the 2023 peaks. That's roughly double the rock-bottom 3% rates from 2021. For perspective, on a typical $400,000 loan, say 20% down on a $500,000 home principal, and interest alone come to about $2,420 per month at 6.11%. At 3%, that same loan would be around $1,686, meaning today's rates add roughly $734 extra every single month just on the core payment. Affordability feels tight even with inflation cooling and wages growing modestly. Average household income hovering around $75,000 to $80,000 based on recent census trends. Home prices. The national typical home value is sitting at about $358,968 per Zillow's January Home Value Index, down a slight 0.4% month over month, but up a modest 0.2% year over year. Forecasts suggest 1.9% growth for 2026 overall from Zillow, while NAR is a bit more optimistic at up to 4% if sales pick up. Inventory has climbed 10 to 15% from the 2024 lows, but strong demand from millennials and Gen Z buyers keeps upward pressure in place. In desirable suburbs, safe neighborhoods with good schools, prices still comfortably land in the $450,000 to $500,000 range. High-growth areas like parts of Texas or Florida could see 3 to 4% appreciation, but saturated markets like California are mostly flat or slightly down. Now rents, the average for a 3-bedroom single-family home is $2,119 per month, according to Zillow's rental index, ranging from around $2,000 in the Midwest to $2,800 plus in coastal metros. Rents have stayed far more stable than ownership costs, which swing hard with rates, taxes, insurance, and surprise repairs. The key metric here is price-to-rent ratios. Anything above 20 usually means renting is cheaper long-term. In 2026, many major metros are still flashing warning signs. San Francisco around 35 plus Los Angeles, 35, Seattle 36, New York 28. More affordable regions like Ohio or Midwest cities fall to 18 to 20, tilting the balance toward buying. Remember what we covered in the $500,000 home trap: those seemingly normal prices hide serious dangers. The monthly payment estimates you see online completely ignore property taxes, typically 1 to 1.5% of value, adding $500 to $750 per month. On a $500,000 home, homeowners insurance averaging $2,500 per year and rising 20% plus due to climate risks. HOA fees, extra utilities for a larger space and maintenance. The 1% rule means $4,500 to $5,000 per year on average, with big one-time hits like $10,000 to $20,000 for a roof or HVAC. This is exactly why beginners need to push back against the buy now hype. Monthly payment is misleading. With this full 2026 market picture in front of us, let's now crunch the real numbers side by side. With this full 2026 market picture in front of us, let's now crunch the real numbers side by side, full stack costs of owning versus renting a comparable home. We'll use a realistic example to make it crystal clear for beginners. Take a typical suburban home priced at $480,000, right around what you'd see in many decent areas with good schools and safety. Assume a solid 20% down payment of $96,000, leaving a loan of $384,000 at the current 6.11%, 30-year fixed rate from Freddie Mac. Principal and interest alone about $2,330 per month. That's the number most people focus on when they see a mortgage calculator on Zillow or Redfin. Now add the full PTI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Property taxes average around 1 to 1.25% of home value, nationally effective rate 0.89 to 1% per recent data, so for $480,000, that's roughly $6,000 per year or $500 per month. Homeowners insurance averages $2,110 to $2,424 per year. NerdWallet/Bankrate 2026 figures up due to climate and rebuild costs, so about $175 to $202 per month. Let's use $210 for a conservative estimate. That brings PT to around $3,040 per month, already $640 more than a comparable 3-bedroom rent at the national average of $2,119 Zillow rental index, or even $2,400 in a decent suburb. But we're not done. The hidden extras are what turn this into a real trap. HOA fees are common in suburbs, $200 to $400 per month for maintenance of common areas. Utilities often run $150 to $300 higher for an owned single-family home. Bigger space, no landlord covering some basics. Maintenance and repairs. Follow the 1% rule, 1% of home value annually for routine upkeep and unexpected fixes, so $4,800 per year or $400 per month average. Real-world hits add up fast. An HVAC replacement can cost $8,000 a new roof, $15,000 per home advisor, and industry averages. Repairs often run 1 to 2% of value yearly when surprises strike. Add it all up, total all-in ownership cost lands at $3,800 to $4,500 per month. Compare that to renting the same comparable home, $2,400 to $2,800 per month. Monthly gap, $1,000 to $1,700. Here's the killer part, the opportunity cost that most beginners miss entirely. That $1,200 average gap if invested monthly in a broad index fund with a historical 7% annual return. S&P 500 average after inflation compounds powerfully. After 5 years, roughly $85,000 to $90,000. After 10 years, over $200,000. Show the compound interest graph here. Watch how it grows exponentially. This often beats the equity building argument. If home appreciation stays modest, Zillow forecasts just 1.9% for 2026 nationally, meaning $9,000 to $10,000 annual gain on $480,000 minus selling fees and costs. Don't forget the upfront and long-term killers, closing costs, 3 to 5%, $14,400 to $24,000 at purchase. Selling fees around 6% commission, $28,800 on $480,000. Lifestyle creep, a bigger owned home leads to $200 to $500 per month. More on furnishings, decor, and utilities. Consumer expenditure survey data. House poor trap. Even on a $120,000 household income, debt to income can hit 40 to 45% limits, leaving no buffer for emergencies or life changes stressful and risky. Tie this back to the $500,000 home trap. The real danger isn't the sticker price. It's the entire system quietly eating your margin month after month. Renting, on the other hand, isn't throwing money away. It delivers flexibility, no surprise repairs, predictable costs, easier moves for jobs or family. In high price-to-rent ratio markets, many metros over 25 to 30, it's mathematically superior short to medium term. These numbers aren't meant to scare you, they're meant to empower you with clarity. With this breakdown clear, let's look at when buying can still come out ahead in 2026. These numbers aren't meant to scare you, they're meant to empower you with clarity. So with the full cost breakdown on the table, let's flip the perspective. When does buying a house still win in 2026? Because it's not always a trap. Buying can create real wealth when the conditions line up. First, the long hold advantage. If you plan to stay 10 plus years, buying starts to shine. On that $384,000 loan we used earlier, you build over $100,000 in principal paydown in the first 10 years at 6.11%. Add modest appreciation, Zillow and NR forecast 1.9 to 4% nationally, but stronger markets can hit 3 to 5% annually. That's $150,000 plus in equity growth on a $480,000 home over a decade minus fees. Your rate is locked, shielding you from future hikes if rates rise again. Second, market-specific wins. In lower price-to-rent ratio areas, think Midwest or South, where ratios often fall to 18 to 22, for example. Atlanta, around 20 parts of Ohio or Texas suburbs, buying edges out, renting mathematically even in the short to medium term. These regions have steadier appreciation and lower taxes/insurance, making ownership costs closer to rent. Third, strategic plays that tilt the scales. House hacking is powerful. Buy a duplex or triplex live in one unit, rent out the others. Many people offset 50 to 70% of their mortgage and PT right away. If rates drop later, markets expect possible refi to 5 to 5.5% in coming years. You can refinance and lower payments significantly. Rapid income growth, career jumps, promotions, side hustles can easily cover rising costs. And for families, stability matters. No landlord drama, kids stay in the same schools, no forced moves. Of course, renting still wins in the opposite scenarios. High ratio metros, 25 to 35 plus job or life uncertainty, or when you prioritize maximum flexibility and cash flow to invest elsewhere aggressively. Unlike the warnings in the $500,000 home trap video, buying isn't always a trap. It can absolutely build long-term wealth when your timeline, market, and strategy align. With both sides clear, let's pull it together into a simple decision framework you can use right now. With both sides clear, let's pull it together into a simple decision framework you can use right now to decide whether buying or renting makes sense for you in 2026. Step 1. Calculate the full all-in costs of ownership. Don't stop at principal and interest, add property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, extra utilities, and maintenance. Use the 1% rule for repairs. Get a realistic PT plus extras number from a mortgage calculator plus local tax/insurance quotes. Step 2. Compare that to the rent for a truly comparable home, same size bedrooms, location, schools, and neighborhood. Use Zillow or Redfin rental listings in your area for an accurate match. Step 3. Take the monthly gap ownership cost minus rent and project. What happens if you invested at a conservative 7% annual return, historical S&P average? Use a free compound interest calculator online. See how much that grows over 5 years and 10 years. This is your opportunity cost reality check. Step 4. Assess your personal buffers. Do you have a solid 6 to 12 month emergency fund? Is your down payment stable and from your own savings, not family gifts that could create pressure? Can you handle a $10,000 to $20,000 surprise repair without stress? Step 5. Evaluate your personal fit. How long do you plan to stay in the home? 5 years or 10 plus? What's your risk tolerance? Do you prefer the predictability of rent or the long-term potential of equity? Are you okay with less flexibility for job moves or life changes? This framework shifts your mindset from, can I qualify for the loan, to can I thrive comfortably for years? Avoid the myths like rent is throwing money away. Choose the path that gives you options, not handcuffs. Now let's wrap this up with the key takeaways and what you should do next. Here's the bottom line for 2026. This isn't 2021 anymore. High mortgage rates around 6. 11% elevated home prices and full ownership costs mean renting plus investing. The difference often wins for flexibility and cash flow in many markets. But buying still crushes it for long holds, house hacking, or in lower ratio areas. The key is to run your own numbers. Don't rely on monthly payment illusions from past videos or the hype on social media. Use this framework to decide what's right for your life, not someone else's. If this helped you think differently about buying, drop your rough numbers in the comments below. What's your target home price? Comparable rent, location, city/state, household income range? I'll reply with quick breakdowns where I can. Hit subscribe and the bell for more 2026 market updates, real estate math breakdowns, and beginner-friendly advice. Share this video if you know someone who's on the fence about buying. They'll thank you later. Thanks so much for watching. Choose smart, stay flexible, and I'll see you in the next one.